the deal. Go ahead and drop where you're tuning in from in the comments. And if you are catching this on replay, go ahead and drop that hashtag replay. For those of you tuning in for the very first time, welcome. I am Tegan Bartos, founder of Jolt Your Career, and every Friday-ish, I've been trying to go live every Friday or host an audio room. I bring on a special guest expert to help you jolt your career. This week, I have no other than workplace futurist Marty Constant, and I'm so excited to have fellow Chicago residents on to talk about how to AI empower your job search. So Marty, thank you so much for joining me.
I'm so excited to be here. The sun is shining in Chicago and the temperature is going to get up to 50 degrees.
Oh my gosh, it's crazy. I'm going to get sick all over again. If you have been trying to reach me, it is, I've been MIA this week because I've had the flu from this crazy weather, but that's okay. So here we go. All right, guys. Hello, Al. Thank you so much for joining in. Lynn, hello. Geez, so excited to have you on. Everybody else joining, welcome, welcome, welcome. We are going to dive right in. But before we do, Marty, go ahead and tell us your background and what led you to exploring different AI platforms.
Okay, I started my career as a designer and got into the technology marketing, went back to school, got an MBA, and decided that I really wanted to help companies grow. So in essence, I was always working with the future because the companies that I helped were often launching products that were in advance of adoption in the market. I'll give you an example. I was marketing mobile security before the iPhone was invented. Feature phones didn't require mobile security. So it was a tough road. So making a market at the same time that you are promoting a market is a very big challenge. It's what a lot of entrepreneurs go through. So this is how I got involved with the future. 12 years ago, I invented the term career agility, applying agile principles to the management of one's own career. And I felt that this was essential to keep all of us current and relevant in the workplace. I've worked at companies like Apple, General Dynamics, and Samsung, and an assortment of growth stage tech startups, VC-backed companies. So in some cases, feeling a little unstable, but also excited about the future. Back then, it was all about better, cheaper, faster. And now that we have AI, it's sort of broken the mold. We used to think about certain curves, adoption curves happening, even the internet or even mobile devices. They had a certain curve of adoption. AI is breaking all of that. There's so much we don't know. All I know is it's going up sharply instead of gradually. It had 100 million users within a couple months, broke the mold there, and it is poised to be worth to generate trillions and trillions of dollars. The internet in 10 years' time, when they launched, developed about $13 trillion.
And so why the hell are more people not using it?
I don't know, but we're gonna have like somewhere between 40 and 80 trillion dollars in revenues.
Okay, I'm going to do a shameless plug here for those of you who are on your job search and want to rethink the way that you are approaching your job search. Highly recommend Marty's book, Activate Your Agile Career, because as she said, she Lean Six Sigma the process. And so go ahead and snag that on Amazon. I'll drop it in the links after the show. Okay, so that's your background. Now, you work with, you're now a keynote speaker, right? But you've got a huge network of career coaches. So there are a lot of mixed signals when it comes to using AI in your job search or not to. Some who say it's unethical, some who say it's going to make you sound cookie cutter, some who say it's cheating. I mean, like there's just so many opinions out there on it. And it's really interesting how it's playing out in these early days. So can you give examples of ways job seekers can use AI in effective ways, where or like, what do you think? Just tell me.
Well, it's not going to do the search for you. Anyone that's an AI consultant that says, oh, it will automate everything, I would steer clear of that. Think of AI as your super smart assistant that will help you be better at everything you do. It's not going to draft and write the perfect resume. It might look at your resume and say, gee, if you want to use some of your transferable skills to go from operations to marketing, this is what you might want to think about. But it is not going to rewrite everything for you perfectly. So using it as a sounding board is one way of doing it. Researching any topic on anything, you may be researching a new industry, it is an excellent way to do that. You ask it to identify the gaps. And then rewriting your own copy. A lot of people don't realize that LLMs, large language learning models, are excellent at looking at your own information and making it 10% better. It's also great at first drafts. And we could go on and on. It's great at career brand phrases. So if you're looking for a little inspiration for phrases that will be memorable for you, this is a place to explore. And I do have a demo of that.
Ooh, I've got to try that one out. All right, before we go any further, welcome, Kim. Hello, Michelle. What's going on, Roy? We've got a lot of new people who are joining us, Len as well. And so thank you all for tuning in. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to drop a question in the chat. All right, Marty, so go ahead and show us, like, put this into action. What you got for us?
Yeah, we're just going to go right through this because we don't have a lot of time today. So I'm going to share with you. It's going to be a demo of examples. So it's not going to be real time everything because we don't have a lot of time. So I've teed up a number of examples for you.
Yes. All right. I cannot wait to see them.
So I'm going to do a 5-slide overview here.
Perfect.
And what I will do is open this up.
For those of you who do not use Canva, they are AI enabled now as well.
I'm glad you mentioned that because there's 58,000 AI companies right now and growing. And Canva happens to have the least amount of friction in it. So all the images that you see that I show on any of my slides are all AI generated. So AI won't replace you. A person using AI will. Very important thing to remember that the main goal here, you may not want to use AI on a regular basis, but if you're a manager and you're leading teams, being conversant in what AI is doing to the industry is going to be important. The AI growth rate is the fastest growing technology adoption in the history of tech until Threads, which is owned by Meta, which comes through Instagram. In July of 23. So they got their fast adoption in 5 days while it took, ChatGPT, a month or two. So this is just an idea. And this is one investment firm's assessment. I've heard it with Gartner and others. Anticipated revenues of AI being between 40 trillion and 80 trillion. This is a very bullish estimate for the future by ARK Investment. But if you think about 1997 to 2021, it was worth $13 trillion worth of business. Now we're looking at upwards of 40 to 80.
Might need to change my business model.
This is an idea of the time it took for Netflix to do it. This is at a glance, and I just entered in Threads because I thought, well, that's interesting. But that comes from another source, and it's not the same. It's not going to have the same type of growth and adoption going forward. The other thing that we're working with, if anyone that is suspect here or suspicious about, should I, I'm a VP of marketing, I'm a VP of finance, should I, be working on this? AI will amplify anyone's productivity. The people on your team, that's what you're going to care about the most. The big trend this year is augmented working, saving between 30 minutes and 4 hours a day. That's conservative. That's conservative. I have a case study to show you differently. So this is the first case study. I'm just going to log into the systems that we all use. 3 systems.
Yes.
So this is writing a creative brief for your prompt. If you want to use it for career brand crafting so that you're memorable during your conversation networking as well as on LinkedIn, write a creative brief. Do what the advertising agencies did. Define your audience. What is the task? What is the role? What is the strategy? What are the requirements? Think about it this way. Who do you want to reach? Answer all these questions before you even tap into any of the large language models. This is an example, and anyone who wants a prompt guide after this, I do have a QR code at the end of this that you can scan and you can get an immediate download. The one thing that I ask you is to review how Tegan and I did today with this. It's got smiley faces from sad face to happy face, very quick. And at the end of that, you get your download. So this prompt example is act like a creative brand strategist who will derive character traits and stories from a LinkedIn profile. So you're immediately saying, I'm going to give you the LinkedIn profile to create a clever branding statement that is different and memorable. This is not a positioning statement. This is a clever branding statement. Suggest a play on words or a clever combination of words and talents. I will give you the content from LinkedIn. You can also load up stuff from current resume, old resume, things that you're good at. And the important thing is give the LLM a way to construct the statements. I do this. People rely on me when. I am the person on the team who does what. You can imagine, you could feed in the prompts, mini prompts within this to get what you want. So this is create career brand phrases using LinkedIn, ChatGPT, and your editing savvy. Remember when we said earlier, Tegan, this is not about a cut and paste world. This is why career coaches might be a little suspicious of its effectiveness. So this is 2 examples I'm going to show you. I fed in for a learning and development professional and got out the brand statement example. I am the architect of aha moments, crafting curriculum that sparks understanding.
Oh, I like that. See, and how long does that take a person to create that themselves? And, you know, like, let's say I was a learning and development professional. When you're inside the jar, it is so hard to read the label. And so you're so close to it that it's like, you just go blank.
You do. And what is interesting, this is kind of advanced, but people are creating their own GPTs, which are using all of their own content and data. We're not going to talk about that today. But in essence, this example is using your own content to drive this. This is not going out to you can ask it to look at industries as well, but you can ask it to stay in its lane of the content that you just served it up. This is another one from my product marketer. I hear this so many times, like, why are you special? You know, I hear this in career sessions where I volunteer some of my time, some of these group sessions, and people say, oh, well, I know how to translate complex stuff into simplicity. Well, let's turn it up a notch and make it memorable.
Because everybody says that.
They say I solve problems, and then every professional says, I translate the complex to make it simple. Which is pretty good phrase.
Or like I help non-technical stakeholders understand, you know, okay, gibberish into genius.
So, yeah, and you know, I prompted it to be clever. You could prompt it to be serious. You could prompt it to be humorous. You could prompt it to be a lot of different things. But this is what we're going to talk about today in the examples I'm going to show you real time with ChatGPT and Claude and hopefully Perplexity, is that if you're a little overwhelmed with where to start with one question and create an entire workflow of what you want to accomplish. You can do this in the job search. Your job search starts with research, then there's a strategy, and then you create. This particular chain prompt is an example of how a learning professional had to teach bankers about what the customer experience was. So in learning and development, they're tasked with training executives and professionals about new topics. And so you say, what is customer experience? Why is it important in the financial services industry? And then you might ask a different question. I asked, how is customer experience measured and benchmarked in commercial banking? And then I do a little bit like what I did before with the prompt, act as a trainer. You could act as an instructional designer, whatever you want. Write the objectives for a customer experience CX course that introduces what CX is, and then act as a designer and create a complete module. So this is an example of someone who's designing a course. You might say, well, I thought we were talking about job search. What I'm saying to everyone that's on this call today is we should all be worried and concerned and curious about the workflows, because once we get hired, or maybe in the interviewing process, your ability to talk the talk and walk the walk of how AI can be beneficial to your department is going to be important.
All right, so everybody get out your cameras. Well, if you're on the...
Yeah, you can do this right now since we're on it, and then we don't have to come back to this. So you can scan the QR code or do the URL, which is talk.ac/Marty Constant. And anytime during this, you can click with the happy faces, and then you can get the 6-page guide. And the task for you is Tegan and I would like you to critique us as a team in this event today. So I'll just leave that up for a second. I can put it up later.
Okay, so for all of the career coaches who do lives that are on this, because I see quite a few of you that have joined, this is cool. Talkadoc.
Yes. Yeah, it's fun. It was originally made for professional speakers, so that's where it came out of. And Arel Moody does a great job on that. So we went through that one, and now I'm going to click over to an example. So we're going to start with an example here, and you might, again, you heard me say, I don't think of this as rewriting your entire resume as much as getting coaching or a career coach working to try to identify things that they may have missed, right? So we'll start with, these were teed up examples. So notice that I put in, I'm attaching 2 documents, my LinkedIn About section and my current resume. I'm switching from an operations role to a senior marketing role at a SaaS company. So this person that is looking for work wants to work in marketing at a SaaS company. Can you help me improve this resume for this type of role? Here's what it comes back with. This is pretty common stuff that any career coach will go, oh, well, of course, right? Here are some suggestions. But at least it confirms the thinking that goes behind this, or the analysis. So lead with a summary profile highlighting your most relevant marketing experience. May seem obvious, but if yours is operations centric, you've got to do this. You've got to draw the key details. And then you include the examples, you include your skill sections, add marketing to your resume title to enforce this. And I go, well, that just didn't do it for me. Think of the chained prompt. I want to know more. So then I say, I dial it down. Please improve the professional background for a VP of marketing role at a tech company and provide any suggestions for the areas of expertise section. And then I say, don't mention years of experience, because we all say now, oh, 15 years of experience. Don't mention years of experience. Focus on my memorable accomplishments and expertise. So this is an improved professional background. And again, it doesn't get everything right, but it gives you ideas. So it's going through your resume and it's saying, these are some of the impressive things that even though you haven't worked in marketing before, these were some projects that you participated in. Again, you're feeding your own stuff into it. You could have just as easily said, what's required for this type of role, and it would draw from the large language model. And then here's the areas of expertise. They might have 20, but these are the ones that are relevant for marketing. And then it says, this is Claude, by the way. And I believe this one was done before I was a paying customer of Claude. So that's free, but I would challenge anyone that's on this call, $20 a month for any of these platforms is a steal. Considering what you want to make in your profession, if you put out $40 or $60 over a period of 3 months to use the more elevated version, I would say that's a good investment.
Most people, as a tidbit here, most people who are investing in their career will spend 10% of their annual income to invest in professional growth and development, be that services like this, resume writing, coaching, certification programs, etc. So if you do not include that in your budget, I highly recommend, if you want to stay relevant in the future of work, to continue investing and upskilling in your career and yourself.
Exactly. But that's something we get asked. Oh, what's free? What's free? I would say that's not the right question. The right question is what's going to get me my job and the role that I want in the way that I want it is the right question. And $60 over a period of 3 months is not going to be a big deal. I've invested in 2 of these platforms. I invest in Claude and ChatGPT, and I have not invested in the professional version yet of Perplexity. There's lots of them. But this is a question, help me draft a response to why we should hire you by translating my current skills to be in alignment with the VP of marketing role. So again, it goes back to 10 years of strategies. So it gives you, they're not perfect and they're not personality driven. They're not you, right? These don't sound like you, yet you take this as the ugly first draft and you modify it to be what you want it to be. But it takes 5 different ways. Throughout my career, I've built high-performing marketing teams from the ground up and mentored junior staff. That's a powerful phrase when people are looking for someone that they want to lead a team.
I bet another prompt for this could also be to provide a template for how to craft answers to answer this.
Yeah.
So an overarching scope of professional backgrounds, synergies with the role, what brought you here today, etc. And then you can kind of pull and peel what feels best for how to organize your thoughts.
Exactly. So that would just be, again, it's a chain prompt. And when you're in the middle of a session, I can go back to this session 3 months later. It will remember everything that I've loaded into here and everything that we've discussed. So you can go back in and continue that conversation. This is your creative brainstorming partner in work and in job search. So then there's, please improve this resume with the, this is the job description I got for this. How can you help me? This is the job description. You paste that right in there. By the way, Claude lets you paste in lots and lots of data. GPT, 4 has started offering, bigger, swaths of data that you can put in it. And then it doesn't really give you a new resume. It's just saying, here's some revisions.
Yep.
These are some revisions, right? So you're not going to see, and then I say, then I went through, here's my prompt, in reviewing the attached resume and the improvement suggestions that you offered, please also refer to the About section from my LinkedIn profile. Remember, I loaded that up at the beginning, and then I use that same prompt and I say, please create 20 statements. And in this particular case, this person had different capabilities than the person that was a learning and development executive. So here's 20 of them, and they're long. So these could be conversational. Here's 20 creative branding statements. You could be called the demand driver, making brands unforgettable. Some of these, 80% of them may be like, I'm not too fond of this. I feel like these systems love the word maestro. So maestro, it's not my favorite, but it seems like it always finds its way in. You'll notice it has the revenue growth architect. Not bad. Another use of the word architect. But then I said, that's not quite right. So I'm going to ask it. They gave me 20. Please make them 6 to 9 words long. Emphasize the clever nature of the phrase. This is when it gets interesting. Driving demand, exceeding expectations. When you give it more constraints, it can get more clever. And then it goes on to tell me, it emphasizes the ability to generate leads and pipeline while overachieving goals. I didn't ask for that, but it told me that. Imagine, optimize, monetize, making magic metrics. Revenue growth instigator. progress propeller, icons and feeds. So it's fun. And then it goes on. Guardian of brand.
It takes seconds to do, where, if you're going to sit down and brainstorm this yourself, it could take weeks.
Right. So I went through that for a while. And then I started thinking, well, what about my own career? The terms of agility and being a futurist. Create 5 more. The agile marketing innovator who envisions future trends and capitalizes on change to steer brands to new heights. So it ends up, you give it more information and you go on.
Yep.
And then I went on to, what are the top questions asked in an interview? Again, now it's going to the broad LLM. It's searching everything for a VP of marketing role for a SaaS company. Can you offer questions? And then can you offer behavioral questions? Now I noticed this time when I asked it, they gave me the answers too. So they gave me the questions and then they gave me, some suggested answers. Kind of fun. I mean, LinkedIn has some of this stuff, but they only have like a set list of questions.
Right.
But this has way, way more. It's just totally scalable. And then I thought, well, let's conduct a mock interview. It didn't quite understand the mock interview, so it gave me the interviewer and the candidate responses. And then I thought, well, I know it can do this. So I said again, can we do this again with you posing as the interviewer? Please ask me 1 to 2 questions. I thought at least I can answer a couple questions. And said, let's do another mock interview. So it still didn't get it. So then the 3rd time, then I said, ask me a question, let me respond, and then critique my answer. So again, you're just trying to figure out how to give the system instructions. So it did it again. But on the last one, I think it is here. Can we do this again? So I asked it, can we do this again? Then it said, what strategies have you used to align global marketing campaigns across different regions and cultures? Now, it just came up with that question, right? But it's relevant. It's relevant. Yeah. Go ahead and provide your answer. And I, hadn't run marketing. I thought, well, this is what I would think about. I had an answer for it. Localize the content, go through that. And then it gives me feedback. Excellent answer. You provided 3 solid strategies and supporting details. Localizing the content, emphasizing sales alignment. Again, it's going back and it's summarizing what I just told them in some different phrases. Listening to regional sales teams. But it says the only additional suggestion I would add is to mention any specific campaigns. Remember, career coaches are always saying, be specific. Tell them what you accomplished and how it addressed the needs of the organization and what goals you accomplished. So then here's the second question. And then we went into another question. So that was, so we are just about on the 30-minute mark. Do we have time for a couple more examples? Do people want more examples?
Let's see. Okay, if you would like another example from maybe ChatGPT or Perplexity, go ahead and drop a note in the comments and we will keep going. Hit the counts right. There's still 57 people on, so I would say go ahead and go.
Okay. So we're going to go to, we showed Claude. I'm going to show a ChatGPT example. And this is an example of a question. Please improve this resume. And again, it goes into your resume. It goes into the job description that I gave it. Again, this is ChatGPT, so I had to upload the stuff again.
Yep.
And so then it says, to enhance this, here are some specific improvements. And then it goes into revise this, areas of expertise. It's very specific, but this is where it gets interesting. It said, not only is this the general information, I'm going to look at one of your examples, which you said led deployment of clients' long-term remote work policy. It has a suggestion. Developed and executed a comprehensive digital marketing strategy to support the client's long-term remote work policy, resulting in a 25% increase in online engagement. So it got very specific. It says, why should people care about this?
Yeah.
And you actually go back in and you could say, what about this sentence? You could go sentence by sentence. You could do this.
At one of the places that I volunteer at, like the Google XYZ resume writing format is one of the prompts that I recommend people do to structure the bullet point, leading with results, then going to the action and the context of why it matters. And so there's a lot of ways to train via prompt engineering on how to get better outputs, especially if you're doing it DIY. But one of the things that I appreciated is that you started off with the research. So you can, if you are feeling overwhelmed by your job search, still start off with the prompts, with the research, because then you can remember what is going on in the industry, what is most important for these roles, what is the difference between a director level and a VP level, like what are those nuanced things that I need to make sure stand out in this resume and that I'm leveraging. Have you noticed, in addition to like having effective prompts, have you noticed what like resume suggestions, LinkedIn writing, social media content, interview prep, one platform over the other being better in one way or the other? I remember you had a post where it's like, this is great for that, this is great for that.
Right. I mean, Perplexity, which I'm going to show you right now, is really good for giving examples on Google and beyond, so that you can go back and check everything. ChatGPT, and I like Claude because you can put in large pieces of documents and analyze your own content. But ChatGPT is pretty good at that. And ChatGPT will also create images for you if you want from DALL-E 3. So you can get artwork and images for it as well. That's known as multimodal. But we don't need that in the job search process. But what do people need? So this is going to be a real-time example. I thought, well, let's please provide the job openings in cybersecurity for product managers.
So this is Search the Web.
Yeah, so this is Perplexity. This is the free version. Really super great, and it's great at giving you links. And you could go through Google, you could go through Bing, you could go through all of these and figure this out. So we're going to, this is so instant. So it gives you I love this because Perplexity gives you the sources. So these are all the cybersecurity product manager jobs as of today or whenever they were up there on Indeed, LinkedIn, 1,000+ product manager cybersecurity jobs. So it goes through this. So it condenses everything for you. And it then summarizes that you have 68 here, 1,000 here, 42 here. I clicked into some of these. This is stuff that you can get anywhere.
Yep.
However, isn't it nice that it's aggregating it for you? And so this is a super fun one to play with. Once you start using the Copilot, which is a little bit more robust, which I am not a paid subscriber, so I don't get access to that, there's a whole lot more you can do. But I've had loads of fun with Perplexity because their links work. Very often the links I get that I was getting from ChatGPT, they were like 404s. They would go to nowhere.
Yeah.
So that was tough and that was disappointing.
This is neat. I have not seen it used this way before. I didn't even think to use it this way, but how many of us get frustrated, doing the Boolean search on these different job boards to find the right type of role? So I'm going to play with this.
Yeah, this will be fun. And this is just the beginning, the tip of the iceberg here. Another thing is when you're doing research, explain. So I wanted to, there's called the Feynman technique. You try to identify your gaps in understanding about any topic. Say you're going into an interview and you know that they do something, maybe they're doing something a little bit more advanced in technology or in blockchain or something like that you don't really understand as well as you would like to. You say something like, explain the idea of X in the simplest terms possible, as if I'm teaching it to a complete beginner. I'm teaching the topic to bankers. In this case, I went back to that case study of the bankers. Identify gaps in my understanding and suggest resources to fill them. So it says, okay, it creates a story for customer experience. Imagine how easy it is to find things in a restaurant. It uses a restaurant as an example. It's very basic. How were you greeted? The ambiance, the cleanliness, how quickly and courteously were you served? I just love this because you can actually use that in an exercise within your module when you're teaching about customer experience. For bankers, then it gives you an easy, and that's for bankers, how easy is it for customers to open an account or apply for a loan? How friendly and helpful are the staff? How quickly are queries or problems resolved? Is the bank's app or website user friendly? Are there hidden fees? Again, these are not perfect questions, but they are questions that get at the root of what is the customer experience considerations when you're a strategic executive and you want to know the points that you need to improve on. And then it says, I asked it to identify any gaps in understanding that I may have. Emphasis on transactions versus relationships. Isn't that powerful? You know, of course we know it's about the relationships. Digital versus physical interactions. We have to think about that as designers of systems and as people that interface with clients. Feedback mechanisms, personalization, resources to enhance understanding. Gives me books, blogs, courses, industry reports, conference workshops. Doesn't give me the exact links.
Yep.
I'd be able to go back in and try, but it sometimes works and sometimes it doesn't. Yeah, so I think that was it. And then
right now, so
is there a sound issue? I think we lost Tegan. So I'm going to assume, okay, so some people are signing off. So this is what we have. We could go through lots of examples. I could go through the example of designing, you know, asking all about a topic and then say, give me a 4-hour course with all of the modules and what I should accomplish here. I worked with a learning and development executive. They had what was originally a 20-hour process down to 4. They went in and edited everything and, you know, offered it to their management quite successfully. And to the point where they said, you know, Marty, I feel like I'm cheating. Is this okay? Well, of course it's okay, because you can design another course now, and all of the content that you've given them is yours because it's your course. You are delivering it. So we're back. Tegan is back.
It kicked me off. It kicked me off my own show. I could hear you, but it made me stuck in the back.
Yeah, so there are, I don't know, Tegan, is there an example of what you'd like to ask Perplexity? You said,
no, honestly, okay, so what I'm kind of gathering here from you is that the more curious you are, the better these platforms are going to work for you.
Yes.
And to take it step by step. And so you're building a hub almost in one tab on this particular topic. And then you just go layer by layer to add on to it to get you closer. So it's never going to be a finished product in most cases, but it is going to get you over some writing humps, or at least get your brain going. And in many instances might dramatically decrease the amount of time that you're spending on a work sample product. Because how many times are we asked to put together a deck or a brief presentation or something like that? And as a job seeker, we want to put our best foot forward, where if you were in the role, it would take you 30 minutes to knock something like this out, 15 minutes. But then as the job seeker who wants to make sure that you're putting your best foot forward, you might spend a week, fiddling on a 3-page slide deck. So I love this. I also love that you showed how it took a little bit of time to get the mock interview right. So the more we keep refining our prompts, we can eventually get to what we want. So Marty, this has all been so helpful. I love the different examples that you showed on Perplexity, on Claude, on ChatGPT, how it works differently. So to wrap this up before my Restream kicks me off again, like, what would you say is your best advice for job seekers who are reluctant to leverage AI in their job search? They watch this and they're like, well, shoot, this doesn't give me anything perfect. What's the point in using it then? I can sit here and fumble on my own. Why do you still encourage people to consider using these platforms while they're on their job search?
I encourage them to use the job search as their time to upskill, or I call it the reskilling. So you take, say they're in marketing or say they're in finance, it's always your area of expertise plus AI. So the world is going to be like that. Our big companies like Microsoft and Adobe, they're all AI companies now, right?
Yep.
Microsoft is the biggest owner of, ChatGPT. And so, there's a lot of smaller, there's 58,000 smaller players, but there's all these big players. So if you are not conversant in AI, I would suggest that it's going to be very difficult for you to keep up in their interviewing realm. And it's going to be very difficult for you to keep up once you get into your new role, because workflows and examining how you accomplish your work is going to be a thing. We did a lot of marketing automation, HR automation. These were just systems that automated everything. And people were worried about that. Well, this is it's a different type of automation. It's a different type of support, but it's areas that AI will go in and do the repetitive tasks, much like automation. And you're going to be in a situation, in an interviewing situation, or once you're there, to managing the systems. The systems will always need to be managed. I mean, that's pretty kind of a strong thing to say when we know that these systems are improving to the point where they're starting to sound more like humans. But as far as we know, it's always going to need some support from you. The work is going to be best when it's got the diversity of the conversation with others, with AI, and with you. So everything that you've done before with teams plus AI. So I'd say get in, start where you are, start with one question, try one of the ChatGPT or Perplexity, try one of them and just start like asking the questions that you always wanted to know. Look at some of the projects that you have on your plate. Use it for job search, but also use it for like, how did I used to do this in my job?
Yep.
What did my day look like? What were the tasks that I did? And start looking at that, and then be able to talk about that throughout the interview process. That's assuming you get past the ATS and all those things, but this isn't the conversation for that.
Well, I want to end off by just slightly touching on that, because everything that Marty showed you today is to help elevate your content, to help elevate the way that you brand yourself, the way that you articulate yourself, so you can empower hiring teams to advocate on your behalf before you're there. Because a recruiter's job is ultimately to evaluate your candidacy based on your resume, based on your LinkedIn profile. And so we want to make sure that you are elevating your brand and being as polished as possible in that 2024 job search for your success. One of the things that any of you who are not in the TA space may want to look at is HiredScore's video demo. And HiredScore is an AI-enabled ATS CRM platform that will scan through candidate profiles, resumes, etc., pull out the meat and potatoes of the content, craft a note on your candidacy that I, as a recruiter, can then submit to the hiring team without me manually having to do all of that work. It literally saves weeks worth of time in a month that I would otherwise have to do. And so everything that Marty has shared with you today is going to help elevate and polish what you have already started, especially if you're doing it on the DEI side. All right, so there was one question in here, and it's, can we get the QR code back on the screen? And so can you pop that bad boy back up there?
Yeah, we sure can.
So Marty is a keynote speaker. she, keynote speakers, you always get the questionnaire at the end of how things went. So go ahead and pull out your phone, get this QR code so you can download her 6-page resource that accompanies this workshop today, or she can drop the link in the comments afterwards. If you are looking how to have more agility in your career, highly recommend Marty's book, Activate Your Agile Career. You can find it on Amazon. I'll drop it in the show notes afterwards. And if you are not already following Marty, she is a workplace futurist. She shares damn near daily, posts far more than I do, actionable tips for you to future-proof your career. She goes beyond generations of just, things to think about. This applies to all of us, regardless of the phase of career that we are in. So Marty, thank you so much for extending the time today to give us more examples like the audience requested. For everybody tuning in, we appreciate you being here today. If you have any questions, feel free to drop it in the chat. If you try out Marty's tips, please give feedback on how it went, because we want to continue serving you as best as possible. So Marty, I appreciate you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Everybody else, I will see you in the new year. Happy holidays. Have a safe new year. All of that. I will be back at the first of the year.
Megan, do you want to just say to people, someone just asked, they want a copy of the replay? It's what
it'll be in our activity section. You can look in my activity, Marty's activity. You can click right there and you can see the presentation beginning to end. And so that'll be easy peasy for you to get.
Yes. Okay. So we're good.
All right. Bye, everyone. Happy New Year.